Hello and welcome to Overtime. It's day 8. If you've made it this far and you've decided to take the next step, congratulations. Here we're going to learn about how we can actually take our Athlete OS anywhere in the world with us and communicate back and forth. Today we're going to cover 3 main topics. First off, how to connect your Gmail directly to your Athlete OS. Number 2, how we can send an email from our Athlete OS to our Gmail every single morning. And then finally, number 3, how we can take our Athlete OS and communicate with it anywhere in the world directly from our mobile phone. So without further ado, let's dive in. Today, we're not starting in our Athlete OS. Today, we're actually going to begin in our Gmail. So log into your personal Gmail or whatever Gmail that you want Claude Code, your Athlete OS hooked up to, and navigate to this URL, myaccount.google.com. We need to do 2 things here. The first is actually enable 2-factor authentication. Without that, the email firing won't work. And then the second, we need to set up an actual password for our application. So first off, in order to enable 2-factor authentication, head down to security and sign in. From here, you'll scroll down and you'll see this 2-step verification icon. If that is not toggled on, go ahead and toggle it on and complete the verification steps. If it is, great, you're already set. Once you have 2-factor authentication enabled, you can head to this new URL, myaccount.google.com/app-passwords. This is where we're actually going to put in our Athlete OS app password for Google to be able to connect in. So go ahead and enter. Once you actually access the app password screen, you're going to want to create a name for your application. So I will just go ahead and title mine Athlete OS. Go ahead and click create. That'll give you an app password. Now mine's blurred out because I don't want you seeing mine. Yours will be personal as well. Don't share that. Keep that. It's personal. The one thing to note, make sure that you copy this password immediately because it will only be shown once. And if you forget it or you lose it, you'll just have to create another one and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. So once you grab it, you can go ahead and click done. And you'll see that app password is created and configured there directly for you. So go ahead and grab the email prompt directly from the linked resources and paste that into our Claude Code chat. Once you paste it in, it's going to ask to verify that you've actually done your 2FA and you've set up your app password. If you have, great. We can just say, yes, I have set this. If you haven't, it would walk you through those steps, but because we already did that together, you're all set. So once it verifies that your 2-factor authentication and your app password are created, the next step is actually going to create the 2 line items on your .env file, the 2 variables that you'll need for Gmail sending. That's your Gmail address and your Gmail app password. Once it actually puts those on your .env.local file, you can go ahead in and actually fill those out. Remember, after you fill those out, just hit Control-S to save that down so that the model can understand that those changes are actually in the repo. Once you've actually set your .env.local file up, you can let Claude know that this is all set. Set your .env.local file up and Claude knows that. Claude will then produce the send email skill. Now this email skill, you'll see it appear in the top left with all your other skills. What this is just teaching Claude how do I actually send the email to you in a repeatable, replicable fashion so that it's not recreating the wheel every single time. Again, skills, super important. Make sure that you're using them often and frequently. Once that email me skill is created, you should get a direct email from Claude in your actual Gmail. And you can see 1 minute ago, I just got an email from my Athlete OS saying that the connection is verified and I can actually send a brief to myself every single morning directly from the system. If you don't get this connection or if something looks off, first check your spam. See if it went to spam. If it didn't go to spam, go back into Claude and ask it to understand and diagnose exactly what's happening and why you didn't get an email. It's usually one of 2 things. 1, your app password is incorrect, or 2, the 2-factor authentication is actually not verified. As long as those 2 things are set up appropriately, the email should flow through seamlessly. Once you confirm that your Athlete OS can send you a direct email to your personal email, the next step is going to be building out that daily brief prompt. So in the resources below this video, I've attached a daily brief prompt that can actually enhance the recovery skill, that daily one that we built out. So now that it can act as a full daily brief that downloads everything that you're working on and you're striving for. So go ahead and grab that and paste that directly into the chat. Now what this is doing, it's looking back at our previous recovery check skill and seeing, okay, I understand that this is basically what we have today. It's our readiness, but what do I have to add? I have to add in what is today's actual workout. I have to add in what is the race plan, a little bit of a countdown, and then finally, what is my focus? It's my focus around my planning, is my focus around my training, is my focus around my nutrition. Claude's going to give you that every single morning. Now, like everything else that we've done in this course, it's fully customizable. So if you get in here and you're like, hey, I want my daily brief to have X, Y, or Z, you can build that out. I'm giving you a general framework so that you can understand the capabilities, and then from there, you can enhance it and build out whatever you want. Once you review the daily brief and you've got it configured appropriately, you can go ahead and tell Claude, yep, that looks great. From there, Claude is actually going to reconfigure that skill to make it a true daily brief, complete with all the features that you just built out. So it's going to review your profile, your plan, your weekly targets, your latest health flags, anything else that you've built out in your Athlete OS. So you can see as it gets configured, that daily brief will actually appear directly in your Claude skills, so you can review it to make sure that's working appropriately. Claude's going to run that initial skill to see, is that information it's giving me actually relevant and what I want, or do I need to go back and reconfigure? The other thing I recommend you doing is actually reviewing the daily brief skill in full to understand exactly what goes into it. Again, this is fully customizable, so you should build it out to how you want it and what's actually pertinent to your training. And you can see all the sources and files that it just read to actually create the plan for you. So again, everything is rooted in trying not to have Claude hallucinate or create things that are not grounded in what your actual training or what your data is showing you. One thing to confirm, it's working end to end. It should have just sent you your first training brief email. Go ahead into your Gmail and just confirm that it actually did fire and everything lines up with what you were expecting. Once it's completed all the steps, it's going to alert you that any previous automations that might conflict with what you've just built out, you can probably turn off. So in the previous days, we built out that recovery checked automation. So it's probably worth going back into the Claude desktop app and turning that off. So here you can go to your daily brief and you can just hit delete, and that'll delete that for you, so you don't have two briefs coming in that might have conflicting information or honestly might be completely redundant. Now that you've removed that old scheduled task, you can create a new task that's specific to this exact skill. So go ahead, click new task, set up manually, and name it something like daily training brief. In the description, you can put something along the lines of a daily training brief so that I can stay on top of and ahead of all my training for the next day. In the instructions, you're going to want to put something like run my daily brief skill and email it to me every single morning. If you remember from the previous automations that we set up, you have to select the actual folder that it's going to run out of so that it can reference the skill you just built out. So go ahead and click folder, navigate to where your files are, and click the exact folder where you stored everything. Go ahead and click always allow. And now when that runs, it's going to be focused directly on your Athlete OS so that it can run the skill you just built out. A couple final things. You've got to make sure that you select act without asking, or else it's going to run into an issue where it might need your approval for something, but you're sleeping and you're not there to give that approval. So go ahead and hit that, and then act without asking in Chrome is fine as well. Frequency, set it up daily. I want mine at 6 a.m. Once you set it up and configure it exactly how you want it, oh, I just realized that this should be brief and not breeze. Thank you, talk to text. Once you've configured it and you set it up exactly how you want, go ahead and click save. And now that automation is set to run every day at 6 a.m. and look at that exact skill that you just built out. Amazing. You're 90% of the way there. The final 10%, connecting your Athlete OS directly to your smartphone so you can talk to it wherever and whenever you want. Now, to do this, we're going to use a skill that Anthropic has already built out and we don't need to configure. Anthropic has built out a ton of skills that you can access directly in the Claude chat. In order to do that, you're going to hit backslash. When you hit backslash, it brings up this window where you can configure and change a number of different settings. One of those is actually accessing all the skills that not only you built, but that Anthropic has built specifically for Claude Code. So the one that we're going to look for is the one titled remote control, /remote-control. When you type that in and you hit go, it's going to prompt you to open remote control in a browser. Go ahead and click that. And when you do, now you've fully enabled Claude Code directly in the cloud. So what does that actually mean? All the work that we've done over the last 7 days has been what we call in a local environment. This is directly on your desktop, it's directly on your computer, and it's not really accessing any cloud services or hosted services. What we're doing now is we're actually giving the cloud version of Claude, which you can access directly from the Claude app on your phone, access to your local repo, to your desktop. So you can have a direct conversation with your Athlete OS anywhere in the world. So you can see here, this exact conversation looks identical to what we have here. That's because it is. It's the exact same conversation we're hosting locally on our computer that we're now accessing through the internet. In order to test that, I can give an example like, what is my workout for tomorrow? Traditionally, if you just asked regular Claude chat what your workout was, it would have absolutely no idea. It might hallucinate. It might ask you a question like, I have no idea, you tell me your workout. Because we're accessing Claude Code through the web, now we can actually access our entire Athlete OS completely remotely. And you can see tomorrow is Tuesday, June 30th, your quality one day, right? That's a big day for me. It's hill repeats. It's something that I'm really looking forward to because it's a strength day. It's a power day. I love doing that. It's going to suck, but it's going to be fun. Remote control is super powerful. You can access your Athlete OS from anywhere in the world directly from your phone. There are two caveats. The first, your computer must remain on. So if you're going to bed and you want your skills and you want your automations to run while you're sleeping, just make sure that you keep your computer on or you change the settings on your computer so that it doesn't turn off. And then number two, if you ever want to come out of remote control, you can just go down and click remote control again, and remote control will be disabled. It's very easy. It's very powerful because it'll allow you to leave. It'll allow you to, if you're going out with your friends but still want to tinker and change things on your Athlete OS, and you can do that now. It really gives you a ton of power to control your computer from anywhere. There are additional ways where you don't need remote control and you don't need your computer on. They involve using an online source called GitHub, as well as a hosting platform like a Vercel. These are both a little bit more advanced options that we will cover in later modules, but they allow you to actually build a fully functioning website that is hosted on the internet, so you can literally access your Athlete OS anywhere in the world with very limited restrictions. And now that officially concludes day 8 overtime of our Athlete OS. I hope you've enjoyed going through these modules as much as I have making them. I truly believe that this is life-changing technology, and being able to use it with your training to not only better yourself, but the athletes that you coach is incredibly powerful. So kudos to you for taking the leap. A couple final notes. I encourage you to continue to remain very active in the community. We want to hear what you're building, how you're furthering your training with technology, as well as participation in upcoming modules and team events that we're going to be having moving forward. If there's people in your network, in your community that you think could really benefit from taking this course, please forward this to them, invite them in. We want to make this as inviting and as open to everybody as humanly possible. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next module, and I can't wait to see what you build.